Today I went to my local fish store for the first time in a very long time. However, it's my birthday and I decided I want to treat myself to something. I didn't know what I was going to be treating myself to. However, I went to Aquarium in Bedford, Nova Scotia. However, I go into the store. I'm looking at fish. Immediately I realize I want a lot of things. One of the things was his platinum angelfish. I see them, he's got about 8 of them. Perfect numbers for me. You guys know I like to have 6 to 12 of absolutely anything. They're so responsive, they're so healthy, they're in immaculate shape, but then I remember, didn't we do platinum angels in the past? And to be fair, moving forward, I don't care if we did it before, I just want to do what I want to do. I circle the store and I'm looking at other fish. He had true Siamese algae eaters. Now the Siamese algae eater shouldn't be confused with the Chinese algae eater and or other fish with similar shapes that will be promoted as Siamese algae eaters. They're the ultimate algae eating fish when it comes to filament type algae like hair algae, and that's the reason we're standing in front of this aquarium today. Remember when we set this tank up? It's 4 feet long, it's 16 inches wide, it's 16 inches tall. It contains about 55 gallons of water. I built this aquarium out of acrylic. We have standing logs and of course a bunch of dwarf Sagittaria. However, I originally thought, let's do cardinals, let's do tetras, let's do something like that. But we do have a little bit of hair algae issues in this tank. So when I seen those true Siamese algae eaters, I thought, I do need them, and I probably should get them for this tank. And the reason being is simple. It will absolutely annihilate all of the hair algae and any other type of algae in this tank that isn't surface type algae. But more importantly, as they grow and they rob this aquarium of all of the algae, I can use this aquarium like a satellite tank for the 700. Meaning that as these guys grow and they outgrow this aquarium, which they will, I can take these guys and put them in the 700 because all the fish in there are going to age out. That's been running as a planted tank for over a year now. That's when I knew I'm shopping for fish for this tank. You see, when I go to a fish store, very rarely do I know what I want. And then I thought, those platinum angels, wouldn't they be absolutely amazing in this aquarium? And eventually grow them out and put them in the 700 because the 700 could use a bit of a variety of different types of angels and colors and variations and whatnot. I go around the bend and then I come across what I thought was mascara barbs. Remember when we were down in Florida and we visited my friend Lucas Bretz's place and he had mascara barbs and how enthralled I was with them and how excited he was about them? That's what I thought they were, and then I read the tag and I was like, oh, filament barbs. Very similar, very interesting, far more iridescence and a little bit more color. Fantastic price. Plus he had 15 of them and I thought, okay, I'm gonna get the Siamese algae eaters. What if I got those 15 filament barbs and kind of put them in here, grew them out. They get to about, what, 4, 5, 6 inches, something like that. Wouldn't those 15 go fantastic in the 700 gallon eventually? One tank that won't be a satellite tank is right over here. This too is the identical size, 48 inches long, 16 inches tall, 16 inches wide, containing around 55 gallons, let's call it 54, but jam-packed with a tremendous amount of shrimp. We have snowballs, we have, what are they, laser yellows, oh, this one's holding. We have electric blues, just a conglomerate of shrimp. And I know what a lot of people are thinking. Well, they're all going to interbreed because they're all neocardinians. However, eventually we'll end up with a bunch of brown shrimp. Don't worry, I'm colorblind. I won't know the difference. So this is just my shrimp tank. It can't possibly be a satellite tank because if I put them in the 700, there's too many fish over there that are going to eat these guys. Anyways, back to this tank, which I'm not even supposed to be working on right now because I have a number of other like little secret projects that I'm doing quite well with that you guys will see here shortly, but I just got enthralled with those fish and I needed to have them. So I bought them. First and foremost, the Siamese algae eaters. These guys are about a couple of inches long. You'll notice that they have a black line going from the tip of their nose to the base of their caudal fin. That's how you know they're a Siamese algae eater. It's a solid black line. It's not broken up like the Chinese algae eater. The Chinese algae eater a lot of the times will be mislabeled as one of these guys. They don't eat algae. All they do is attack other fish. But these guys are absolutely incredible. Now, obviously algae is a sign of something else, but at times, regardless of how many water changes or, you know, kind of attempting to correct the issue, we're just going to get algae, especially in heavily planted tanks. That this one is actually connected to this one, and both of these are connected to this one. So why would I put in brand new fish into this system knowing that I haven't quarantined them? Outside of the fact that it's Paul, outside of the fact that it came from his store, Aquarica, I'm still going to quarantine them. But this is going to be really easy. All I have to do is close the valve, toss in a sponge filter for biological filtration. However, with this much plants and with water changes, I'll be just fine. So technically, quarantine with this aquarium isn't going to be necessary because it will serve as its own quarantine system because I've already shut the valve off. No filter, no water is being served to this tank. But we don't want to intermix the water. Bucket and net. We're going to cut the bag open, dump the bag of water over the net so that the fish and water are separated. I gotta say, like, even though I've never ever gotten any issues with Aquarica's fish or from Paul, there's always that one time. I got 5 of these guys. Little washed out, kind of looking a little skinny, but overall I think they're going to love this tank just based off how much food they're going to have in it. Mind you, these guys get about 6 inches long, so obviously this tank's not going to serve them or justify them long. They will of course have to go to the 700 at some point. I also picked up 60 foot of airline hose because I'm going to take this airline hose, which is feeding all the flower horn tanks, and I'm going to put a couple airlines into the 2000 for bubbles. I don't know, I miss bubbles in the 2000. Plus, the 2000 is getting a change here shortly, and it's going to look a lot better and a lot cooler if we did have bubbles in it. And then the fish themselves. We didn't just get fish. I'll show you everything that I got. It's going to take me a minute to unbox this because even though I only have to drive an hour, Paul packs these fish as if I'm driving 3 or 4 days. So the filament barbs, obviously not looking great. He only had 15. I say only, but these guys are really nice schooling fish. And you might think barb. Aren't barbs fin nippers? Not all barbs are fin nippers if you have enough and they can preoccupy themselves with each other. So let's see what these will look like in here. I'm really excited about these guys. So again, dump the bag into the bucket, separating them from the water, and toss them in. They're going to do quite well in this tank. In fact, they'll do really well, at least for a few months, as they quarantine, and eventually we'll get them over to the 700. Some more in there, and then 5 more, 15 total. So in the meantime, this tank will serve as a satellite, and it's going to look really cool. But also, we're going to use these fish, obviously, to transfer over to the 700 at some point. These guys are going to look absolutely phenomenal. Add a little bit more life to the 700, offer slightly larger and, of course, bigger fish to it. And they're continuously and constantly active. Obviously, they've just been placed in the aquarium, but we'll see how they do long term. So other things I got, I just topped up on some food. Got myself some sinking carnivore. This is some of my favorite food, likely of all time. It's a relatively small size and a lot of fish will eat it. Jam-packed with a tremendous amount of nutrients, and darn near, it's like a treat for fish. Anybody that feeds it knows what I'm talking about. Discus Bio Gold. I remember getting this 15 years ago. I don't know if it's great for discus. I buy it because it's always worked for me with discus. So another little treat. And then, of course, some Massivore Delight. And that was it. So I think this trip was like $500 or $400 or something like that. A lot of that's in the food. But I never planned. I think I gave myself a budget of like $100 or $200 today. And I was a little disappointed in myself, but I got everything I wanted. And I think this tank and these fish are going to turn out absolutely fantastic. I think what we should do is let them settle for the night, shut the lights off. We'll come back tomorrow and see how everybody's doing. So next day, these guys are definitely colored up, looking absolutely gorgeous. Very, very nice. One of the nicer barbs. With that said, Paul typically brings in some larger types of fish, so you can actually see and get a good idea of what they're going to be looking like long term. I don't see, oh, here's all the algae eaters. I only got 5, there's not a whole bunch of them. But really, you only need 1 or 2 for like 100 gallons. These guys are incredibly efficient. This barb is one of the larger growing barbs. With any barb, obviously, they can be relative fin nippers. However, I always found that the more barbs you have, the less likely they'll nip at other fish. But a lot of fish will just nip anyways. I've never seen or had barbs that caused me any type of issue. They're always been one of the most active fish that I've ever kept. And I used to keep like tiger barbs, like 100 of them with walrus. So a slow moving large South American cichlid with a bunch of barbs, and never had absolutely not a single issue. But these guys are responsive, nice and healthy, looking really good, and they'll do really well in this tank. But it won't be long term. Again, this is just going to be like a satellite tank. I'm going to buy fish, quarantine them in here, grow them out a little bit, and add them to the 700. And other tanks that I'm working on that are much larger than this one, these smaller tanks can have a bunch of smaller fish at once. And then, oh, it looks like we might have lost one over here. Again, I'm just seeing this. Is that one? I think that's, yeah, it is. Dang. That's likely due to, I don't know, maybe one of the skinnier ones. We do have 4 over here doing fine. Yeah, these 4 are perfect. So yeah, lost one. That's unfortunate. I'll have to remove him. But, yeah. Great little barb. But most importantly, those Siamese algae eaters absolutely destroy. They're really hardy too, so it's really interesting and weird to see one of them didn't make it. But whatever, I think it was when I got these, I forgot that I wanted the Siamese algae eater, so I went back in. And since the box was already packed up, and I took about 4 or 5 hours to get home, so they were just in a bag in the back seat of the truck. I figured it was warm enough, and then we temperature acclimated. Maybe it was just too much of a shock. I don't know. Happens. But these guys look fantastic. Everybody's looking good. I love their fins, their caudal fins, or their tail fins. Yeah, and as they grow, they're going to look really cool. And like I said, this is one of the larger barbs, so definitely for bigger tanks, but 15 to 50 gallons, more than enough. These guys will do really well in here. And the dwarf sage is starting to grow really well, but I don't know if you can even see it in some of the videos, but it definitely has hair algae. These guys are definitely gonna also, yeah, it was the super skinny one that that didn't make it, because all these guys are like really good. I think it was just like a weaker of the 5. Yeah, because these guys are absolutely perfect. I wouldn't say that the Siamese algae eater schools, but it definitely shoals together. I also don't think this barb is much of a schooler, but definitely a shoaler. I don't know. Hard to say with them. But anyways, that's it for now. That's the newest fish that we got. Hope you enjoyed it. And this is a really... I don't think I've ever had barbs in the gallery. Let me know if I ever have in the comment section below. I don't think I ever have. And it's weird that I got these guys. Definitely inspired by Lucas Brett's mascara barbs. They kind of look like them. Definitely look like them. And I would have estimated that I would have had tiger barbs first, because that's definitely my favorite barb. Let me know what your favorite barb is in the comment section below, and or if you currently have any. See you in the next one.